Hello everyone. So this session is beyond your normal discussions of any of the subject as such. But this session will surely be focusing on the multiple subjects at the same time. Because I know this point very well. I understand your situations. I understand your scenarios. In fact, I passed through the same kind of facets. The only point is what? During that particular time, we tried to bring in something to our studies pattern, which gave us a kind of advantage, which created a kind of benefit for us. Because when we were doing the studies at that time, also the syllabuses were same, quite syllabi was quite same as what you have today. The size of syllaba may have increased in the current scenario to a certain extent, not exactly to a large extent. As far as 12th is concerned, 12th standard syllabuses almost remain same. Yet the other professional courses level, you may find that the syllabus is increasing. Of course, that is bound to increase because the professional courses syllabuses are primarily designed considering the current scenarios, and current scenarios, are upgrading daily. Very soon, you may have the, like, if you take the example of accounts, if you take the example of OCM kind of subject, you may have the kind of corona in that, or pandemics in that. That in the situation of pandemics, how do you do the accounting? In the situation of pandemics, how do you do the management? These all things may come in the times to come. Those will get upgraded in your syllabus as well. The point of highlight here is what? That whatever way those syllabus are, how do we manage that? That's also a big question. And number two, as far as the theory papers are concerned, how do we study those? And on top of that, are we supposed to by heart these subjects? Is it possible for us? I'll be answering on these major questions. In fact, today's session of mine will be 100% focused on the theory papers. We'll surely be planning for the another session wherein we'll be focusing on the practical papers also. How do you do the preparation for the practical papers? We'll talk about that as well. The numerical based papers. For now, let me come on to my interesting or my important topic, that is the theory papers. What is the methodology of the right methodology of doing the studies? See, what I am going to talk about is what is realistic and idealistic. Both ways I'm going to discuss it. But from your point of view, your understanding point of view, one on one, if you go, there are the different kind of people who have the different kind of thought process, who have the different kind of understanding, who have a different kind of grasping power. So considering your respective grasping power, considering your respective understanding about the subject, you may have a different kind of thoughts as compared to what I am going to talk about. In that case, we can surely have a separate discussion. But this is a generalized based discussion, considering what is the requirement of the theory papers, considering what are the important points in the theory papers, and how do I manage those papers. Number one, the very first point that I would be interested to highlight here is theory papers or the theory subjects, especially at the 12th standard and even at the professional courses, are the most neglected kind of papers. Why? Because you only keep on reading it, you try to understand it. For some of them, it's a reverse way around. But generally speaking, this is the scenario. And as these are neglected kind of papers, generally where we face the burden is in these papers when it comes to the exam preparation. And that's why I'm trying to that's why I'm trying to highlight on only the theory subjects at this point in time. Number two, in the theory papers, Many a times you have heard from the different kind of faculty at the different levels that you are expected to write verbatim when it comes to the board's exam, especially if not the professional exams, but for the board exams. Many a times we have heard this faculty being saying that you are expected to express what has been written in the books. Yes, you are expected to, you are supposed to, you have to, but mind it, you cannot write verbatim. Because if you write verbatim, that means you have to by heart the things, and that's not an easier task. मेरा सिंपल सा अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, अगर किसी चीज को बाय हार्ट करने में मुझे 2 घंटे लग जाते हैं, कोई पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन का बड़ा वाला आंसर है, if I am required to take approximately 2 hours to by heart that, in the same 2 hours, I can finish up with the understanding of at least 5 such questions. At least I'm saying. It depends on your speed of reading, depends on your speed of understanding. Because what happens is, if you keep on focusing only on one aspect, क्योंकि ये बहुत ज्यादा important है इसलिए उस पर focus करना ऐसा जरूरी नहीं होता है. You need to have a kind of confidence in your understanding. You need to have a confidence in your writing skills. And if you don't have, you need to develop those skills. So I'm going to focus on 3 things today. Number 1, how do I study theory papers? Number 2, how do I improve on my English or on my writing skills, I would say. And number 3, how do I make the notes of my theory papers? That's the core important thing that we are going to talk about, that is allied to your study pattern itself. But you have to talk about, you have to understand this thoroughly. Why? Because when it comes to the theory subjects, you have to have the clear understanding of that particular topic first. And only after that you can make the right kind of notes in that. Only then you can have the right presentation of that particular thing. One more point that I will add is, how do I present the answers for the theory papers? Please understand, my dear friends, if someone is telling you that you have to write verbatim at your 12th standard, at your HSC standard, that's an acceptable proposition because the quantum of syllabus is limited. Like if you take the example of OCM, SP and economics kind of subject, the number of pages that you have to refer through for all these subjects put together is around 500. Question answer summary wala part हटा के maximum 500 पन्ने पढ़ने हैं. That's easy. When you go to your professional courses, if I give you a very simple example, if you talk about the CA foundation course, the subject of law in the CA foundation, it has in fact, only law by itself has got approximately 350 pages. Economics has got somewhere around 200 pages. There are the other subjects like BCR and BCK. For that, again, there are 100 or 150 pages each. So if you want to cover that 1000 pages, and when you go to the next levels, it becomes more and more difficult. So for that purpose, if I start developing that particular habit from now at this point in time, it becomes more easier, more simpler, and more clearer for me in the times to come. So what I'm going to discuss today is not only going to help you in your 12th standard studies, but that is also going to help you in your professional courses also, whatsoever professional courses that you want to do. May it be MBA, may it be CA, may it be CS, whatsoever. You can talk about any kind of professional course that you want to. So the very first thing that I want to discuss is, how do I refer or how do I study theory papers? Number 1, a theory subject, in my opinion, should not be done for a period more than 1 hour on a continuous basis. Why? Because when you're referring it on a continuous basis, you start getting saturated very fast when it comes to theory. Simple सी बात है. आज मैं तुम्हारे सामने प्रवचन कर रहा हूँ, प्रवचन सुनते सुनते बंदा एक 5 मिनट 7 मिनट 10 मिनट 11वें मिनट पे सोचता है यार बस और कितना सुनूं इसको, एक 10 मिनट के बाद सुनूंगा। यही अगर कोई मूवी चल रही हो, वहां पे सीन बदल रहे हैं, वहां पे सिनेरियोस चेंज हो रहे हैं, इफ दैट्स हैपनिंग, यू स्टार्ट हैविंग द इंटरेस्ट इन दैट, and that's where the difference comes in the theory paper and the numerical papers. Numerical paper, you have to apply the brain every point. So how do I do that 1 hour also? That becomes a difficult task. The simpler way of doing that is make a target. You have a normal speed of say 5 pages, 6 pages per hour. Read and understand. You read it, you thoroughly understand it. People say that you should keep highlighting the important terms. I am exactly in the opposite opinion of that. Why I don't have the opinion of highlighting? Because please remember, friends, you don't highlight. You paint that page. अगर आपको लगता है ना कोई चीज इंपॉर्टेंट है, तो आप सिर्फ हाईलाइट नहीं करते हो एक इंपॉर्टेंट, आपको सारी लाइनें इंपॉर्टेंट लगती है, सारा पेंटिंग करते हो, आपको सब कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट है, and that should not happen. And for that purpose, I always suggest, instead of having a highlights or highlighter in hand, you should have the book of highlights in hand. Now, what is the difference between the highlighter and book of highlights? I'm going to do the same thing what I would highlight otherwise, but I would, instead of just painting it, I will start writing it. And the moment it comes to the point that you have to write it, आप अपने आप को रिस्ट्रिक्ट करना चालू कर देते हो, क्योंकि लिखने की जब बारी आती है ना, तो थोड़ा सा दिक्कत महसूस होना चालू होता है, यार कितना लिखें. So you write only the points which are important in that. Now on that I'll come again. So number one, you read the passages thoroughly. You'll always find that there are certain terms for which you don't know the meaning. For that you have Google Devta. You just refer Google Devta, you get the meaning of that, apply to the context, and you can get the solution of that particular statement. So maximum you should be sitting for 1 hour at a time. I'm not saying that you should be doing only 1 hour का study for the theory subjects. I'm saying अगर आपने 2 घंटे का टारगेट रखा हुआ है कि 2 घंटे आप theory पेपर करने वाले हो, do for 55 minutes, take a break for 10 minutes, again do for 55 minutes. That will always give you an edge. Break of only 10 minutes. I didn't say break. और वो जैसा ये चैनल वाले चलाते हैं, एक बार ब्रेक लग गया तो कब वापस आएंगे पता नहीं, वो जब तक उनके 2 मिनट पे नहीं आते हैं तब तक के वो आप लौटेंगे तब तक दिखाते नहीं है. That kind of thing should not happen. 10 minutes means 10 minutes का break. Reasonable break should be there. Link नहीं टूटना चाहिए. That kind of break you should be taking. Number 2, you have to make a target that what is my reading and writing, sorry, reading and understanding speed. Based on that, you have to keep a target. And when you have a target, no need to look at the watch every time. कि मेरा ये पढ़ना खत्म हुआ कितना मिनट या दूसरा पढ़ना खत्म हुआ कितना मिनट या nothing of that kind. If you have a target of say 10 pages per hour, you just keep on going ahead with those 10 pages till the time those 10 pages get over. I'm not going to leave that particular thing. तो अपने आप आपका वो 1 घंटा भी पढ़ाई हो जाएगी, और अगर आपने उससे ज्यादा समय ले लिया, so you will automatically be controlling that from the next point onwards, or you'll be revising your targets. That's control. You have been learning in the functions of management that one of the function of management is to control. You planned for 10 pages, but you could not complete 10 pages. So next time you try to revise. अब 10 pages नहीं होने के पीछे का कोई abnormal reason होगा तो you'll ignore it. But 10 pages complete होने के पीछे अगर आप ही रीजन हो कि आप ही नहीं पढ़ पा रहे हो, तो you will revise your target कि तुम्हारा कैपेसिटी 8 पढ़ने का है, 10 पढ़ने का नहीं है, 6 पढ़ने का है, whatever it is. So that's how you should be doing the studies. Please understand, if you do not read line by line, if you just skip the lines when you are doing the study of theory papers, you are asking for the trouble yourself. क्योंकि आपने अगर कोई पर्टिकुलर लाइन स्किप करके चले गए, अगर आपने कोई पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट स्किप कर दिया, you may not be able to understand it in the way it was required. And for that purpose, I'm saying that you have to read it thoroughly. Whatsoever points, whatsoever terms that you are not able to understand, search the meaning of that then and there. Do not get lost in Google. Do not get lost in your mobile. At that time, your focus is only on one thing, and that is your studies, and that should be there. This self-control has to be developed. How it can be developed, we can talk about that, but this is not the right time to discuss about that. So the very first point that I said is reading the paper, reading the subject thoroughly, keeping the target of studies that in this time I'll be completing these many pages. Reading with understanding should be there, only reading should not be there. फायदा क्या होता है? When you're reading with understanding, at that time the most important benefit that you have is you are able to recall the things at a later point in time. अगर तुम just for the sake of it पढ़ रहे हो, तो you will not be able to recall it at a later point in time. Next point, some of them have the unique habit कि वो कनपुर्जा जब तक लगा नहीं होता है ना, headphones, cords, buttons, whatever you call that as, जब तक वो हेडफोन्स नहीं लगे होते, जब तक गाने नहीं बज रहे होते, तब तक हमारा दिमाग नहीं चलता है. Mind it, तुम खुद को डम बना रहे हो if you are doing something like that, especially when you are doing the theory papers. Numericals के समय मैं accept कर सकता हूँ, but not thoroughly. As per my habit, that's wrong. But if you are having that as a kind of need, you can do it. But I would say that's a wrong habit. So when you are doing the studies, हाँ, आप कान में earbuds लगा के बैठो, पर गाने नहीं बजने चाहिए. आवाज रोकने के लिए earbuds लगाए हुए, that's acceptable. But उसमें गाने अगर बजते रहे, तो it will distract you. It won't let you do the studies in the normal manner. All right. So make a target of 1 hour minimum theory paper study. Read the paper thoroughly. Read the subject thoroughly. Read with understanding, and along with that, you have to make the notes as well. Now, how those notes have to be made, we'll be talking about that. We'll be discussing about that. Wait for it. Second important thing, that is writing skill. How do I develop my writing skills? What is the meaning of thoroughly? Thoroughly means line by line, point by point. You're not supposed to skip either of the word. When you'll be reading the things, you will not be ignoring anything out of that, because reading के समय हर चीज important. समझने के बाद you can start eliminating the things which are unimportant from the understanding point of view. लिखते समय हम लोग इसको tackle कर लेंगे. That kind of thing should be the case. आपको पता है, ये जो बड़े बड़े नेता होते हैं ना, what they do is they bring the notes with them. वो सारा भाषण साथ में नहीं लेके आते हैं, वो अपने साथ में एक चिट लेके आते हैं, और वो चिट पे कुछ लिखा होता है, वो चिट के हिसाब से वो अपना भाषण कैरी ओवर करते हैं. That's how it should go. ये क्या है, ये मैं बात करूंगा बाद में. इसी को हम लोग नोट मेकिंग कहते हैं. वो ये वाले नोट नहीं, वो तो तुम जब प्रोफेशनल बन जाओगे तो अपने आप बनाना चालू कर दोगे. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, राइटिंग स्किल्स. हाउ डू आई डेवलप दैट? Am I supposed to use the technical words? Yes, of course, notes means the points. Am I supposed to make the technical words? Am I supposed to write verbatim? As I said earlier also, you're not expected to write verbatim, but yes, you are expected to use the technical language. Technical language means the language which is given in the books to the extent possible. Not exactly. जैसे का तैसा छापने की जरूरत नहीं है. उसके लिए आपको चिट साथ में लेके जानी पड़ेगी, फिर पकड़े गए तो दिक्कत हो जाएगी. We are not interested in that. What we are interested in is that we should be able to write the things according to what has been given in the text. Can I change the sequence? Answer is yes. There are certain faculty who keep on telling you that sequence should not be changed. but you can change the sequence, because if the sequence is changed, content is same, you will still get the marks. The number of points that you are supposed to cover, technically if those all points are covered, then there is no problem, you will be getting the marks for that, right? Then the next point, the next important point about the writing skills is, how do I develop this? There are two ways of doing it. One, you read the passage, a particular part, a particular question, एक टॉपिक आपने खत्म कर लिया, उसके बाद उससे रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस उठाइए, उसके आप हिंट आंसर्स लिखिए अपनी भाषा में. You just keep on writing those hint answers. And second way of doing it is, अब जब आप हिंट आंसर लिखते हो तो उसमें कुछ रह जाएंगे, कुछ ले लोगे वगैरह वगैरह, there will be the kind of confusion kind of. If you want to avoid that, if you want to have the better presenter in that, one other way which is a bit more time consuming but can be followed is, you take the textbook. I said you take the textbook, you copy and paste it. You start writing that itself. इसके 3 बहुत बड़े फायदे होने वाले हैं आपको. फायदा नंबर 1, जब आप वो टेक्स्ट बुक उठा के लिखना चालू करते हो तो अपने आप वो टेक्स्ट बुक के पन्ने पढ़े जा रहे हैं आपसे. यू आर रीडिंग दैट. फायदा नंबर 2, आपका राइटिंग का स्पीड बढ़ता रहेगा. फायदा नंबर 3, you will start improvising on the technical language, because when you are writing something, you first read, you process, you write, and again read. You're doing it for 3 to 4 times. And by that way, the words get penetrated to your brain and you start using those words in the next time. सिंपल सी बात है दोस्तों, अगर मैं बहुत अच्छी हिंदी बात कर सकता हूं, इफ आई एम एबल टू स्पीक गुड इंग्लिश, जर मला मराठी चांगला बोलता येतं, त्याच्या मागचं कारण फक्त एवढंच आहे, that I've been practicing it, कि मैं उस भाषा में बात कर रहा हूं. And if I keep on speaking some language, I start having the expertise in that language, and that's what is required. मैं उसी तरह से, उसी टोन में, उसी एक्सेंट में भी बात कर सकता हूं अगर मुझे जरूरत पड़े तो. मैं अगर सपोज नॉर्थ साइड चले जाता हूं तो वहां थोड़ा सा पंजाबी टोन में हिंदी की बात कर लूंगा. If I'm going to the south side, I'll be talking about in the southern type of tone. Why this is happening? Because you know that these languages are spoken in that way. Similarly, अगर आपको टेक्निकल लैंग्वेज पे एक्सपर्टीज लाना है तो उसके लिए आपको टेक्निकल लैंग्वेज में प्रैक्टिस करना जरूरी है. आप आपकी जो मदर टंग है वो बहुत ही फ्लुएंटली, बहुत ही कंफर्टेबली बात कर लेते हो. क्यों? उसके पीछे का सबसे बेसिक रीजन ये है कि आप उस मदर टंग को बचपन से बोल रहे हो. You're speaking that, and the language that fits on your tongue goes to your brain faster. आप कोई थर्ड पार्टी लैंग्वेज के बारे में, सपोज कोई बंदा आपके सामने थर्ड पार्टी लैंग्वेज में बात कर रहा है, and if you're not aware about that language, you start feeling something is going in Greek and Latin. So for that purpose, writing skills can be developed only by actual writing. You make a target. सर क्या आप हर बात में टारगेट बना के रखते हो? टारगेट के बगैर गोल अचीव नहीं होता है. If you won't make the target, you won't be able to achieve it. So if you want to achieve your targets, you need to make those targets. So you make the target as what? कि आपके टेक्स्ट बुक के 2 पन्ने, ज्यादा नहीं, टेक्स्ट बुक के 2 पन्ने मैं लिखूंगा. वो दूसरा पन्ना कहां खत्म होता है, उसके बाद आगे पॉइंट कंटिन्यू हो रहा होगा तो भी मैं आगे नहीं जाऊंगा. I'll only write those 2 pages on a daily basis. You get habituated to daily writing क्योंकि आप इस समय पे राइटिंग से वंचित हो. ना आपको प्रैक्टिकल सबमिट करने पड़ रहे हैं, ना ही आप क्लास में आ रहे हो कि आपको बहुत ज्यादा लिखना है, and therefore your writing practice is going in vain. And that's what you have to start later on. आप लिखना चालू करोगे, 2 पन्ने लिखोगे, अचानक हाथ कहेगा मैं तो आगे नहीं बढ़ने वाला हूं. That should not happen. And for that purpose, I am suggesting you should start doing the writing practice. There are multiple benefits. सब्जेक्ट पढ़ के हो रहा है, राइटिंग स्किल्स इंप्रूव हो रही है और राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस भी हो रही है, टर्मिनोलॉजीज अपने आप दिमाग में आना चालू हो रही है. So these are the benefits that you can get that you can get in that writing skill development. Then the next important thing, and the most important thing for which you have assembled in here today, and that is the note making part. I made this as a point very clearly earlier that you should not be making the highlights on your textbook at all. क्या हाल फिलहाल तो वो दिक्कत भी है, हमारे पास टेक्स्ट बुक्स ही नहीं है, and because of that we are not able to study properly. I'd suggest not to take the printouts of anything. You read it and you make the notes out of that. Now, how do I make the notes? Let's come on to that particular point. I'll just bring in the OCM ka functions of management by, sorry, principles of management by Mr. Fyal. If you can observe this, based on that, we'll try understanding that how do we make the notes. Okay. The very first point is that in the principles of management, there are 14 different principles. So is it that easy for me to remember these 14 principles? Because in the examination, if that comes to a 10 marks question, it is generally expected that you should be writing all 14 points. And if you want to write all those 14 points, you need to remember those 14 points. And how do I remember this large scale numbers? The very simple way of doing that is making charts of multiple points. You can make the simpler charts, and with the help of those charts, you can remember those all things. I'll just show you one of the example of the charts that I had made. Yeah. These are the principles of management which are laid down by Fayal. I had made two charts on that because there are 14 principles. So making a single chart becomes more difficult for us. And that's why I made the principles into two parts. I divided those principles into two parts. One set of principles I made in one chart and second set of principles I made in second chart. पर इससे क्या होगा? इससे सिर्फ मुझे head points याद रहेंगे. I'll not be able to remember the contents. I'll not be able to highlight on the contents. अब उस कंटेंट को भी कैसे याद रखना है, उस कंटेंट को भी कैसे नोट बनाने हैं, उसके बारे में भी हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे. First part is that how do I make the charts? You have to pick up only the important term out of that particular thing. Now, in this case, we had the headings by itself. Every principle we had the heading, so we picked up those headings itself. And based on those headings, I made the mnemonic out of that. Mnemonic is what? Constructing a kind of story out of the total important points. I have constructed a story. If you could observe, these are the various principles of management. First part, that is division of work, authority and responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, personal interests, and centralization. These are the first part. There are 14 principles of management which are laid down by Mr. Fayal. Now on that, I picked up certain letters out of those all headings. If you could see the highlighted letters out of that, in the first one we picked up W, in the second one we picked up A, DI, CO, DI. Why we picked up? Because with the help of that, we could make a mnemonic. And mnemonic is what? Mnemonic is a simpler story which is constructed based on the available letters. So I made this as the mnemonic is nothing but a story that I have constructed based on the important letters. And it becomes more easier for me to remember this particular story. If I simply write Wadi is the code of IC, Wadi is the code of IC. ये मैंने पहले कंस्ट्रक्ट किया हुआ है in my OCM batch. I've already discussed about this. That's why I'm just presenting that in front of you. Now there, based on those capital letters, what we do is capital letters we keep as the head points, and anything else than that we keep that in the small letters. So work, authority, responsibility, discipline, command, direction, unity of command, unity of direction, the personal interest, the business interest over the personal interest, and centralization. So these are how we make that mnemonic, and that way it becomes easier for us. So this is the part of your making the notes itself. Whatever notes that you are supposed to know, these mnemonics you can construct on your own understanding. मैं normally क्या किया करता था जब मैं पढ़ाई किया करता था, when I used to do the studies, at that time my habit was, क्योंकि कई सारी चीजें ऐसी होती थी जो मुझे इंग्लिश में याद नहीं रहती थी. I was basically a गांव का बंदा, you know. Today I am able to speak English fine, there is no problem, there is no issue at all. But there were the times when English was a tough task for me. So I used to write these all things in Hindi. मैं हिंदी में स्टोरी कंस्ट्रक्ट करके रखता था so that I would be able to recall that particular thing at a later point in time. So that's one point on that. Yeah, Web, I'll just unmute you. Just a moment, we'll take one or two questions here. Gayatri has a question. Gayatri, you can go ahead. You can unmute yourself. Okay, Gayatri is... Yeah, Gayatri? You have a question, Gayatri? Vaibhav, you can go ahead. Yeah, Vaibhav, tell me.
Sir, I doubt, sir. Actually, I used to study in the same way you are telling now, but I had a problem in this. I used to make this told about the principles of the name. What is that name? Principles of?
Principles of
Hello?
management.
Yes, sir. So this is just one point, but if you consider a chapter,
Your voice is lagging a lot. Vaibhav, I would suggest that you should post this question in the text box. In a single chapter, if you have got the multiple of the places where you have got so many points, for each of such you have to make the points, or you have to make the charts, and by that way it becomes more easier. Initially you will start feeling कि यार ये कोई सही नहीं जा रहा है, ये हम लोग time waste कर रहे हैं. But mind it, my dear friends, if you continue with this, in the long run you will be able to understand that yes, it is benefiting us. क्योंकि बाद में जब आप revision start करते हो, at that time you can just go through it and you can just understand the things in much better way, right? कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि सब समझता है पर लिखते समय, that's what we are coming on to, कि आपको अब हेड पॉइंट्स याद हो गए, आपको अब हेड पॉइंट्स पता चल गए. हेड पॉइंट्स के लिए आपने शॉर्टकट्स निकाल लिए, हेड पॉइंट्स के लिए आपने निमोनिक्स बना लिए, उसके लिए चार्ट्स बना लिए. बाय दैट वे यू आर एबल टू रिकॉल. इसका चार्ट्स का बेनिफिट क्या होता है? दीज आर आल्सो कॉल्ड एज द माइंड मैप्स. व्हेन यू आर हैविंग सम माइंड मैप्स विथ यू, हमारा माइंड के अंदर ऐसा ही सेल्स डेवलप होते रहता है. एंड व्हेन आवर माइंड स्टार्ट्स रेफरिंग दीज चार्ट्स, इट starts relating to that and starts picking up the things very fast, and by that way you are able to recall the things faster. And on top of that, remember one thing, that your mind always remembers the pictures more as compared to text. तो अगर pictorial phase से आप present कर रहे हो तो it gives you more kind of clearance. You won't get initially you will be feeling that as there are multiple charts you will get confused with that, but when you are referring a chart only related to a particular part, you won't be able to get confused in that, because every chart has got the heading written in that, in the center of it, and by that way we are able to understand that yes, this is not confusing with the others. Initially till the time you start with, you will find this kind of difficulty. But mind it, I've learned it from experts also. I've heard it from the experts also. They say that mind map is one of the best technique for the purpose of remembering the things in much better way. All right. So that's one thing that you have to do. This is only for the head points. The second important thing that comes is for the points of the internal. Like मुझे division of work क्या है ये याद है. Division of work point पता चल गया. But division of work के अंदर क्या है? Like in the normal course, what you do, just observe this. According to this principle, the work is divided into different kinds, such as technical work is divided in different kinds, such as technical, security operation, managerial. इतना important हो गया हमारे लिए. It is assigned to employees as per the qualities. Assigned to employees as per their qualities and capabilities. It helps in improving the efficiency and expertise of employees, which ultimately turns into helps in improving and efficiency or an expertise of. And this is how you study. सारा का सारा पैराग्राफ आपने हाईलाइट कर दिया. क्यों? क्योंकि आपके हाथ में हाईलाइटर था, आपको सिर्फ वो हाईलाइटर घुमाना था, आपने हाईलाइट नहीं किया, आपने पेंटिंग की. मैं तो वो फेबर कैसल वालों को कंप्लेन करने वाला हूं कि तुम्हारे हाईलाइटर का पॉइंट बहुत छोटा है, उसको ब्रॉड करो, लोगों को अच्छी तरह से पेंटिंग करते आएगी. Mind it, my dear friends. At the same time, if I would have asked you to do the notes of this, to make the notes of this, what you do? Division of work. Now, whether you make it in charts or whether you make the highlighting points, division of work, what will I write in this? Dividing work based on requirement. Correct? Requirement can be financial, security, commercial, accounting, managerial, anything. Assigning work based on skill sets. Skill sets will include your qualification, skill set will include your capabilities, skill set will include your qualities. So assigning the work based on your skill sets and will improve efficiency and expertise. I have written all the 3 points which are covered in the paragraph, but I have compressed it. I have summarized it. And when I have summarized it, in a later date, when I'll start referring, what will be my process of revising? First, I'll go through all the points. Then I'll start referring point by point. Division of work, what is there in that? Principle of authority and responsibility, what is there in that? And when I start doing something like this, mind it, my dear friends, आपका OCM का बुकलेट टोटल 170 पेज का है. 177 पेजेस का, इंक्लूडिंग द फर्स्ट पेजेस, लास्ट पेजेस, समरीज एक्सेट्रा. इफेक्टिवली इसमें आपके लिए काम के 150 पन्ने हैं. 150 पन्ने के बुकलेट को अगर आपने अपने पास करीब करीब 50-60 पन्ने में कवर कर लिया, आपके पास फॉन्ट साइज छोटा करके नहीं, विद द नॉर्मल प्रेजेंटेशन, इम्प्रोवाइज, डिजाइनर वाइंड काइंड ऑफ प्रेजेंटेशन में नहीं, अगर 50 पन्ने आपके लिखे हुए अपने पास नोट्स के हैं, तो at a later date when you will be revising this particular paper, at a later date when you will be revising this particular subject, you will be able to complete the whole subject of OCM, or for that matter economics, or for that matter SP, or any of the theory papers that you want to talk about. You will be able to cover that in a very fast manner. मेरा खुद का लिखा हुआ मुझसे बहुत जल्दी जल्दी पढ़ा जाता है, क्योंकि मैंने खुद लिखा है. मेरा माइंड उसको जल्दी से रिलेट करता है, and by that way it gives me the improvisation in my retrieval also. और अगर मेरा retrieval fast होगा, तो I will be able to write all the content in the required manner and will be getting the reasonable marks for that. So that's why I am suggesting read properly, understand, make the notes of that, keep writing. In this all, if all these things you are doing, ultimately in the theory papers you won't be having any kind of problem. In fact, I would suggest that the theory paper should be done on a regular basis. Like you do accounts, maths, or any of the numerical papers, similarly, you should keep doing the theory papers on a regular basis, which will surely give you a kind of advantage, a kind of edge, because practical papers की आप practice बहुत regular करते हो, theory papers की भी practice अगर regular, I would simply say if you have got two subjects like OCM and economics, you do 3 days ka OCM, 3 days ka economics. One day, if you do only 1.5 hours, 1 hour for reading and half an hour for writing, in 1 hour you'll be able to complete around 6 pages, if I assume so. 6 pages per day in a 3 days time, you'll be able to complete 18 pages. And if you do like this for 10 weeks only, mind it, my dear friends, you will be able to finish. If I say only 5 pages per day, 15 pages, if you do it only for 12 weeks, we are talking about only 3 months time, you'll be able to finish the whole subject of OCM. If you do the same practice for around 20 weeks, you'll be able to finish the whole subject of economics. And that's where the difference would surely come. And I know this will help you. Probably, if you have any kind of questions, we'll surely be taking those questions. You can post your questions on my personal WhatsApp number also. That is 94229 18901. If you have any kind of questions, queries related to this, you can surely come up to that and I'll be happy to answer those all questions. In fact, I would stop it here itself. In the next session, probably I'll be talking about the numerical papers or something different. We'll discuss about it. Thank you for today.